The Inflation Reduction Act grew out of the Biden administration's Build Back Better initiative. After numerous attempts to pass legislation, ultimately Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin came up with legislation that took and met Senator Manchin's requirements that it would reduce inflation in the United States and not add much to spending overall. Within this bill, there are things relating to prescription drug negotiation prices, tax increases, and other measures designed to try and reduce inflation in the United States, but also provisions to provide significant amounts of funding to address climate change, specifically in areas such as solar panels, wind power, and electric vehicles. If we look specifically at the electric vehicle provisions within the legislation, what we see is that they're designed to take and try to create production and supply chains within the United States. However, that has taken and caused consternation for foreign producers. Specifically, the legislation requires that electric vehicles be built within the United States to take and be eligible for the tax credits. Currently, 26 of the 32 models sold in the United States are assembled domestically. Of those models, only the Nissan Leaf and a few European models are built within the United States. So from South Korea and many producers outside the United States from Japan or the European Union, their vehicles are not eligible for the tax credits. In addition, the Inflation Reduction Act requires that beginning in 2023 that the minerals within the electric vehicle batteries and their components come from either the United States or US FTA partners. In 2023, those standards are set at 40% for the mineral content and 50% for the battery component content. However, this rises over time. But most importantly, by 2025, none of the minerals within the batteries or the components can come from a foreign entity of concern. And this means that countries right now who are dependent largely on China for either components or minerals, which is most producers, will need to take and find alternative supply chains to meet the requirements necessary for the tax credits within the Inflation Reduction Act. Currently, Hyundai and Kia do not produce any of their electric vehicles within the United States, but have pledged to take and build a facility to produce 300,000 electric vehicles by 2025. At the moment, this means that none of Hyundai or Kia's electric vehicles sold in the United States are eligible for tax credits. This places them at a disadvantage to competitors who are producing vehicles within the United States. Specifically, this has created concerns within South Korea because under the US-Korea Free Trade Agreement, the United States is required to take and consider and treat goods from South Korea the same as they would those from the United States, which the Inflation Reduction Act clearly does not. Additionally, South Korea has concerns about the Inflation Reduction Act, as over the last 2 years, South Korean administrations have worked closely with the United States to deepen economic relations on issues such as economic security and supply chains. Shortly before the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, President Biden had visited South Korea and told the president of Hyundai and Kia that he would not let them down. In light of these concerns, discussion in South Korea has raised both the prospect of using the dispute settlement mechanism within the US-Korea FTA to address this issue, or joining with Japan and the European Union in filing a dispute with the World Trade Organization. While it's unclear what can be done on a regulatory level to address South Korea's concerns, what the Biden administration can do is amend the Inflation Reduction Act. Doing so would benefit both the United States and its economic partners in South Korea and elsewhere by helping to develop resilient supply chains and enhance economic security, not only in the United States, but in South Korea and with our other trade partners. While it's understandable that South Korea is concerned about the provisions within the Inflation Reduction Act related to electric vehicle assembly, in the long term, the Inflation Reduction Act could be beneficial to South Korean electric vehicle battery producers. As they develop supply chains either in the United States or within US FTA partners, the provisions related to foreign entities of concern could allow South Korea to take and become the dominant seller of electric vehicle batteries within the United States.